I am writing a paper on World War II for a class in world history. The first place I look for information is normally Google because it is the easiest to navigate and it comes up with the most websites to look for, and I find it the most helpful and easiest to work on. So I'll just start by typing in World War II and see what comes up first. And normally the first link I see when I research stuff is Wikipedia, and that is one source I try and stay away from because I know people can just type in things on their own and it could be false information. So I see a link for history.com/World War II, and when I see history.com, that kind of shows me that that might be a reliable source, so I'm going to go to this link first. The thing I like about this link already is that it has a little summary about World War II, just giving me some important dates, important numbers about casualties, and the important people involved, like the countries. And then it also gives a ton, it says 63 videos you can choose to watch. So sometimes I'll watch videos instead of just reading articles and pull from that. That also helps me stay a bit more interested in my research rather than just reading articles and getting distracted. It also has a lot of pictures that I like to look at. It just helps me pull everything together visually. And so since I can already tell that I like this source, I'll probably go up in the search box on this website and type in more that I know about World War II that I'd like to look up. So I'll probably type in Adolf Hitler. And this one comes up with a lot more links. And I'll choose another one. This one is a video of him and just showing what he stands for. And also the thing I like is it also gives a summary, so it's not just a video, but you can read too. So typically when I do research, I'll gather a good bit of information from the first source, and then I'll leave that website and I'll go right back to Google and type in the same thing. I'll type in World War II again. And I'll try a different link this time, just for a little bit different information there. And so the first few links are the same thing. It's a history.com, which is what the first link I looked at was. So I'm going to try and go to a different one. Maybe the New York Times. That one sounds good. I like that it's news articles. So it shows what basically was going on in that time. I like reading actual articles, see what people were thinking and feeling when this was going on, rather than just an article that people wrote 60 years later. And so typically when I find a second source that I really like and I know I'm not going to go back to the first one again, I will open up a Word document and I'm not going to go ahead and do my formal bibliography, but I am going to just copy and paste the link. And then later on, I'll figure out my works cited page and how to do that. And so now I found a couple good sources using the keywords on Google, World War II. So I'll go back into Google because that is my favorite search engine, and I'll just type in something else related to World War II. So maybe World War II timeline, so I can see exactly what happened and when it happened. And I can get a good idea of what I'm researching and how it was going down. So this link, there's another history.com link, and I already knew that I liked that one for just simply typing in World War II, so I'm going to click on this link again. They probably have a pretty helpful timeline since I got good research from that website to begin with. So this website is giving me a huge timeline, pages long, of everything that was going on in World War II for as long as it lasted, from about 1939 to 1945. So obviously I don't need all of that, but I'm just going to probably print these pages out because I like actually holding the paper. And while I'm typing up my research paper, I am going to just look through, highlight the really important dates that I see fit for my paper. And I'm just going to add those into my paper along with citing it. So I'll copy and paste this link and put it in the Word document like I have been doing. But I'm not going to pull direct quotes from this website. I'm just going to simply reword them in my paper without plagiarizing. And so now I want to know a little bit about more of the events that went on during World War II. So now I'm going to go back to Google and just type in World War II events and just see what pops up to add more to my research paper. So this time I'm going to try a little bit of a different link, not the history.com one, to try and get some different research and information. And so I'm going to pick World War II infofacts.com. That one looks like it's pretty good. And if I come across a page that I don't really like, I'll just leave and go on to the next one. Occasionally, I do like to go on Wikipedia, not to actually put information in my research paper, but just to see how a person that's not a professional writer, not like a professor, not a teacher, just a normal person talking about the subject, see how they can help me relate it in my terms a little bit easier rather than what a textbook terms necessarily. So now I'm on a website. It's a slideshow of just random facts, which I kind of like because it's not necessarily the in-your-face facts that everyone wants you to know about World War II. This looks like a website that'll show me other stuff that is really important, but not necessarily what your history teacher is looking for. So I'm looking through the slideshow. I see a lot of stuff that I really like. I'm going to take note of it. And this is stuff that my teacher hasn't even taught me. It's just interesting facts that I think could add a little bit of differentiation in my research paper from someone else's who may be doing the same thing, like World War II. And as long as it relates to my research a little bit, I think it's good to add some different research topics in there. So if you are researching the same thing as another student, you kind of have a different paper. Y'all aren't writing the exact same thing, and your teacher isn't reading the exact same thing over and over. And this also, websites like this make me enjoy my research a little bit better too. I'm not just reading articles over and over again. I'm actually reading cool facts that I'd like to remember one day and keep in my mind. And so typically now after I've researched a good bit on Google and I've probably gone to 4 or 5, maybe 6 sources by now, taken some good notes, printed out some sheets that I'm interested in, I'll go into Word and I'll keep all those links. I'll just open up a new page and I'll start typing my research paper, just the beginning, just so I can keep everything a little bit organized. I'm not just trying to write a whole paper with a whole bunch of information. I can just start the beginning and try and keep it pretty organized and pretty professional and keep it a good paper and not just all over the place so my teacher can't understand. And so occasionally there have been times, not all the time, but with some research papers like this for history or government, and I've really been interested in the subject, I'll look up, for example, for this one, World War II movies. And I would watch a movie about it just to like see what I'm actually researching, seeing what the times were really like. Just even though movies fictional and it's actors, actresses, it's still sometimes nice to just put yourself in that situation for an hour or two and just watch it. Helps you understand it a little bit better if you're truly interested in trying to make a good paper and truly understand what you're researching. And then, like I said before, sometimes while I'm researching, I like to look at interesting facts, not just ones that your history teacher will want. So I'll look up, like now I just looked up World War II propaganda, and I kind of like looking at all those posters and just seeing like how the times have changed, looking at all those posters that they made back then during World War II and what the times were really like. And I notice that when I have an interest in what I'm writing about or researching, it makes me want to research it even more and I can make a better paper or write a better paper. And occasionally, depending on what I'm researching, Google will not work for me, surprisingly. So I'll just try Bing. Or sometimes, even if Google is working for me, I'll try Bing. Okay.